Have you ever felt like you're being looked down upon without knowing why? Perhaps you've sensed that respect from others is slipping away, but the reason remains a mystery. Here's the truth. Small, seemingly harmless habits could be silently chipping away at your reputation. The thing is, these habits are more common than you think. And I know this because I've made many of the same mistakes myself. The key to change is awareness. Recognizing these behaviors is the first step toward regaining respect and rebuilding trust. In this video, we'll uncover 8 destructive habits that might be holding you back from the respect you deserve. From talking behind people's backs to blaming others for mistakes, each habit will be explored through real-life examples, relatable insights, and actionable solutions inspired by Stoic philosophy. And here's the best part. By addressing these habits, you'll not only strengthen your relationships, but also build a more confident and reliable version of yourself. So stick around because in the next few minutes, you'll discover practical steps to overcome these behaviors and transform your interactions. As we go through each point, feel free to share your experiences or the strategies that have worked for you in the comments. Your insights could make a difference for someone else watching this video. Let's create a space where we learn and grow together. Ready? Let's dive in. 1. Talking behind people's backs. Let's talk about something harmless, but carries immense weight. Talking behind someone's back. Gossip often starts innocently, a shared frustration or a casual remark. But what begins as small talk can quickly become far more damaging. When you speak about others in their absence, especially with negativity, you may feel a fleeting sense of belonging or relevance. Yet the cost is far greater than you realize. The truth is, people are always watching. When you gossip about someone, those listening are left wondering, what does this person say about me when I'm not around? Trust, which takes years to build, can be shattered in minutes. The person you're speaking to may laugh or nod in agreement, but deep down they begin to question your integrity. You might see gossip as harmless bonding, but in reality, it erodes respect, isolates you from meaningful relationships, and weakens your reputation. Stoic philosophy reminds us to guard our words and intentions. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." When you resist the urge to gossip, you elevate yourself and those around you. The Stoics believed in focusing on what is within our control, our thoughts, actions, and speech. Gossip, which thrives on judgment and negativity, takes us further from inner peace and self-respect. I remember a colleague at a previous job who had a habit of gossiping about everyone in the office. At first, people indulged him, curious about the latest drama. But over time, his words began to backfire. No one wanted to confide in him, and he became isolated, even though he didn't seem to notice. One day, he commented on a team member during a meeting, thinking it was harmless. But that person overheard, and the tension it created was undeniable. It wasn't just about one careless remark, it was a pattern. People began avoiding him, and his credibility diminished. The lesson for us is not about judging others who gossip, but about choosing a wiser path for ourselves. When you find yourself in a situation where gossip is swirling, pause and ask yourself, what am I adding to this conversation? If the answer is negativity, shift the topic. For example, if someone is criticizing a colleague, steer the conversation toward their strengths or change the subject entirely. Not only does this diffuse the negativity, but it also sets a precedent for others to follow. If you're confronted with gossip directly, someone talking about you, approach the situation with composure. Instead of retaliating or spreading counter-gossip, address the issue calmly if needed, or let it go. Remember, your reaction is within your control. When you choose silence or wisdom over retaliation, you rise above the situation and reflect the kind of person others can trust. In moments when the temptation to gossip arises, think of the ripple effect. Every word we speak has the power to build or destroy. By choosing silence, empathy, or redirection, we protect not only our relationships but also our inner peace. This is how respect is earned, through restraint, through character, and through the courage to rise above fleeting impulses. 2. Always being late. Time is one of the most valuable gifts we can offer others. When you arrive late, you send an unspoken message. My time is more important than yours. It's not always intentional, of course. Perhaps you underestimated traffic, took too long getting ready, or just got caught up in the chaos of the day. But from the perspective of others, your lateness feels like a lack of respect, a subtle theft of the minutes and moments they'll never get back. Imagine it like this. A chronically late person is like a clock that's always off. No matter how beautiful or intricate the design is, it's hard to rely on something so unpredictable. In professional settings, being late chips away at your reputation, labeling you as unreliable. In personal relationships, it creates frustration, often leaving others questioning how much you truly value their time. Stoicism teaches us the importance of valuing what we can control, and our use of time is one of the most powerful things within our grasp. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Time is fleeting, and how we manage it reflects how deeply we respect others and ourselves. I'm reminded of a time when a group of friends and I planned a night out to watch a movie. One friend, whose house was closest to the theater, consistently showed up late. Every time we'd stand outside, watching the clock, frustrated as the previews turned into the opening scenes. When he finally arrived, we'd shuffle in, annoyed and distracted. This didn't happen just once, but over and over again. Eventually, we stopped inviting him to join. It wasn't out of anger, but because his lateness disrupted the experience for everyone else. Over time, that trust in his commitment was eroded. If you've ever been in a situation like this, you know how challenging it can be. But there's a way forward. Start by shifting your perspective. Being on time isn't just about logistics, it's a reflection of your integrity and respect. If you struggle with punctuality, try setting alarms or planning backward from the time you need to leave. Build in buffers to account for unexpected delays, like traffic or last-minute tasks. And when you're tempted to let those extra few minutes slide, ask yourself, how would I feel if someone kept me waiting? It's a humbling question and often enough to realign your priorities. If you do find yourself running late despite your best efforts, own it. Apologize sincerely, without excuses. Accountability goes a long way in mending any frustration you might have caused. Lateness is a habit, but so is punctuality. Each time you show up on time, you rebuild trust and demonstrate reliability. You prove to others and yourself that their time matters as much as yours. By valuing time, you honor not just those around you, but the fleeting and precious nature of life itself. 3. Blaming others for your mistakes. There's something undeniably human about wanting to deflect responsibility when things go wrong. It's an instinct rooted in fear. Fear of punishment, fear of judgment, fear of failure. But shifting blame doesn't shield you, it exposes you. When you point fingers, you reveal your unwillingness to confront your flaws. It's like a child caught in the act, scrambling for excuses, hoping someone else will take the fall. While this might provide temporary relief, the long-term cost is much greater. Lost trust, damaged relationships, and stunted personal growth. When you avoid owning your mistakes, you rob yourself of the chance to learn. Growth comes from acknowledging what went wrong and finding ways to do better next time. Without accountability, those lessons slip away, leaving you stuck in a cycle of repeated errors. Others see this too. They start to doubt your reliability and integrity. Over time, people distance themselves because trust becomes impossible without responsibility. Stoicism reminds us that our actions and how we respond to them are within our control. Epictetus famously said, "A man can't learn what he thinks he already knows." This speaks to the heart of accountability. When we admit our mistakes, we open ourselves to wisdom and growth. Blame, on the other hand, keeps us blind and stagnant. I remember a situation at work where this truth played out vividly. One of our office printers broke down during a busy week. It wasn't a minor malfunction. It was clear someone had mishandled it. A colleague of mine, who'd been using the printer earlier, immediately denied any involvement. Instead, they subtly suggested it might have been the fault of another employee who used it afterward. The tension was palpable. The second colleague, blindsided by the accusation, defended themselves. Meanwhile, those of us watching couldn't help but question the credibility of the person trying to dodge responsibility. The truth came out eventually. Maintenance reports confirmed that the printer had been mishandled before the second colleague ever approached it. The blame shifter's reputation suffered greatly, not because of the broken printer, but because they tried to escape accountability. It wasn't the mistake that harmed them, it was the failure to own it. If you've ever been tempted to shift blame, it's important to pause and reflect. Mistakes are inevitable, but how we handle them defines who we are. The next time something goes wrong, take a deep breath and ask yourself, what could I have done differently? Instead of fixating on what others may or may not have done, focus on your role in the situation. Admit your mistake openly and take steps to correct it. Accountability not only rebuilds trust, but also demonstrates strength and maturity. In a world that often fears vulnerability, owning your errors sets you apart. It shows that you value growth over ego and truth over comfort. And in doing so, you gain something far greater than a clean record. You gain respect, both from others and from yourself. As the Stoics teach, it's not about being perfect, but about striving to be better. Responsibility is where that journey begins. 4. Interrupting others. Interrupting someone mid-sentence is more than just a conversational misstep. It's a signal that you value your voice over theirs. When you cut someone off, you inadvertently send the message that their thoughts, feelings, or perspectives are secondary to your own. It's not always intentional. Perhaps excitement or impatience gets the better of you, but the impact remains the same. Conversations disrupted by interruptions lose their flow, leaving both sides frustrated. It's like trying to read a book with torn pages. You miss crucial details and understanding becomes impossible. From a Stoic perspective, interrupting others reflects a lack of control over your emotions and impulses. Epictetus teaches us to master our desires and thoughts before they master us. When you feel the urge to interrupt, it often stems from a desire to be heard, to prove your point, or to steer the conversation in your favor. But Stoicism encourages us to listen more than we speak, finding strength in patience and understanding. I witnessed a vivid example of this at a birthday party for my friend's daughter. The event was filled with joy, and at one point, my friend stood up to share a heartfelt story about his daughter's growth and accomplishments. It was a beautiful moment of reflection and pride. But as he spoke, another guest repeatedly interrupted to share anecdotes about their child. Every interruption shifted the focus away from my friend's story, turning a special moment into a frustrating one. By the end of the evening, many guests quietly expressed their annoyance, and the interrupter's behavior left a sour impression. If you've ever found yourself in similar situations, it's worth reflecting on why the urge to interrupt arises. Is it impatience, excitement, or a need to feel included? Whatever the reason, recognizing it is the first step toward change. When someone else is speaking, focus fully on their words. Let them complete their thoughts before responding. Not only does this show respect, but it also allows you to truly understand their perspective, enriching the conversation. In moments where interruptions happen, whether from you or someone else, it's possible to reset the flow of the dialogue. If you've interrupted, apologize briefly and invite the other person to continue. If someone interrupts you, remain calm and politely guide the conversation back to your point. I'd like to finish what I was saying before we continue. These small acts of mindfulness can transform the dynamics of any interaction. Listening is more than just hearing words. It's an act of presence and empathy. When you give someone your undivided attention, you show them they matter. This fosters trust, mutual respect, and deeper connections. And while it may feel difficult to hold back your thoughts at the moment, the discipline you practice will ultimately strengthen your relationships and character. Stoic wisdom teaches us to value restraint and to choose our words carefully. By curbing the impulse to interrupt, you not only honor others, but also gain the clarity and respect that come from thoughtful communication. In the end, conversations where everyone feels heard and understood are the ones that truly matter. 5. Complaining too much. Complaining is like a persistent rainstorm. At first, it feels like a release, a way to vent frustrations, but when it continues, it becomes dreary, draining the energy of everyone around. It's easy to slip into the habit of pointing out what's wrong in our lives, the things that don't go as planned, the challenges we face. But constant negativity has a way of repelling people. Few want to be around someone who always focuses on problems without seeking solutions. At its core, complaining stems from dissatisfaction and a desire for change. However, instead of channeling that energy toward improvement, we often allow it to fester, creating an environment that feels heavy and hopeless. People around you begin to see you not as someone striving to overcome difficulties, but as someone stuck in a cycle of self-pity. Respect diminishes, not because of your struggles, but because of how you choose to express them. Stoicism provides a profound perspective on this. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Complaining often arises when we focus on what we cannot control. But the Stoics teach us to shift our energy toward what we can change: our attitude, our actions, and our outlook. Instead of dwelling on obstacles, we should look for opportunities to grow and adapt. There was a period in my life when I struggled with both work and relationships. Deadlines at my job felt unmanageable, and the tension with my partner only added to the stress. I found myself venting constantly, to friends, colleagues, even strangers. At first, people listened patiently, offering advice and encouragement. But over time, I noticed their reactions shift. They grew quieter, their expressions less sympathetic. A close friend finally said, "I care about you, but it's exhausting to hear only the negative. What are you doing to fix this?" That moment forced me to reflect. I realized I had been so consumed by my complaints that I had overlooked the need for action. My frustrations, though valid, had become a storm that clouded not just my perspective, but also the relationships I valued. If you've ever found yourself in a similar place, there is a way forward. Begin by acknowledging your feelings without letting them control you. When you feel the urge to complain, pause and ask yourself, is this something I can change? If the answer is yes, channel your energy into finding solutions. If the answer is no, practice acceptance. This isn't about suppressing emotions, it's about constructively redirecting them. When you do need to vent, choose someone you trust and set a boundary for yourself. Limit the time you spend on negativity and balance it with gratitude. Share something positive, even in the face of hardship. This simple shift can transform your interactions, showing others that you're not defined by your struggles, but by your resilience. Complaining solves nothing, but taking action changes everything. By choosing a mindset of growth over grievance, you not only uplift yourself, but also inspire those around you. This is where respect begins. Not in perfection, but in the courage to rise above the rain. 6. Ignoring personal hygiene. First impressions are powerful. They shape how others perceive us and often determine opportunities in both personal and professional spaces. Neglecting personal hygiene, though seemingly trivial, can have a profound impact on how others view your reliability, discipline, and respect for both yourself and those around you. Poor hygiene sends an unspoken message. I don't care enough to put effort into myself. It's like showing up to a formal dinner in dirty clothes. You inadvertently disrespect the host and everyone else present. People notice the small things: wrinkled shirts, unkempt hair, or an unpleasant odor. These details may seem insignificant to you, but they speak volumes to those around you. It's not about superficiality, it's about respect. When you neglect your hygiene, others may interpret it as a lack of attention to detail, a disregard for professionalism, or an inability to manage the basics of life. Respect begins with how you present yourself, and if you don't take yourself seriously, others may struggle to do so as well. Stoic philosophy teaches us to focus on what is within our control. Personal hygiene is one of the simplest yet most impactful aspects of self-care. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. How we care for our outer appearance reflects the care we give to our inner discipline and character. By maintaining cleanliness, we demonstrate mindfulness and a commitment to showing up as our best selves, no matter the circumstances. I once witnessed this truth firsthand during a job interview. A candidate walked into the room wearing a wrinkled suit, their hair disheveled and shoes scuffed. The interviewer's initial enthusiasm visibly dimmed. Though the candidate's qualifications were solid, their appearance created an immediate barrier. The effort they didn't put into themselves raised doubts about the effort they would put into the job. The interview ended quickly, and the opportunity was lost, not because of a lack of skills, but because of a lack of preparation and respect for the process. If you've ever found yourself struggling with personal hygiene or appearance, it's not about striving for perfection. It's about creating habits that reflect self-respect and thoughtfulness. Begin with small, consistent actions. Lay out your clothes the night before, set reminders for grooming, and take a moment each morning to assess how you're presenting yourself to the world. These seemingly minor steps create a foundation of confidence and readiness for any situation. When you start viewing hygiene as a form of discipline rather than a chore, it transforms into an empowering routine. It's a way of saying to yourself and others, I care enough to show up fully prepared. And when you do, you'll notice the difference, not just in how others respond to you, but in how you feel about yourself. Stoicism teaches us that mastery begins with the basics. How we care for our bodies reflects the values we hold inside. By paying attention to personal hygiene, you're not only showing respect to others, you're cultivating a sense of pride and responsibility that impacts every area of your life. 7. Reacting defensively to feedback. When faced with criticism, it's natural to feel the sting of discomfort. But reacting defensively does more than shield your ego, it builds a wall between you and growth. Instead of seeing feedback as a gift, you may treat it as an attack, shutting down the conversation before it can help you improve. It's like covering your ears while someone is trying to speak. Nothing gets through, and you miss the chance to learn. Defensiveness can be subtle. A quick justification, a shift in blame, or even an attempt to discredit the person offering advice. But the result is the same. Over time, people stop trying to help. They feel their efforts are unwelcome, and their honesty only meets resistance. What's left is a growing sense of isolation, both socially and professionally. Reacting this way sends an unspoken message. I don't value your input, and with that, trust begins to erode. Stoic philosophy offers a profound solution. Epictetus reminds us, it is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Feedback is an opportunity, not a threat. Even when it's given poorly or feels unfair, there is often a nugget of truth waiting to be uncovered. The Stoics teach us to separate our emotions from the moment, focusing instead on what can be learned. This shift in mindset transforms feedback from something to be feared into a tool for self-mastery. I remember a time when I offered heartfelt advice to a friend struggling in their career. They were stuck in patterns that held them back, and I wanted to help. But instead of listening, they reacted defensively, accusing me of jealousy. Their reaction hurt, not because I sought gratitude, but because it created a barrier to our connection. What could have been a moment of growth turned into one of frustration and misunderstanding. If you've ever found yourself reacting defensively, pause and reflect. Defensiveness often stems from fear of inadequacy, failure, or judgment. The first step is to recognize this feeling without letting it control you. When someone offers feedback, focus on their words, not your emotions. Ask yourself, is there truth in what they're saying? How can I use this to improve? Even if their tone or intent isn't perfect, there's often value to be gained. If you're on the receiving end of defensive reactions, approach the situation with patience. Avoid criticism that feels like an attack, and instead, frame your feedback constructively. For example, instead of saying, "You always mess this up," try, "I've noticed this could be done differently for better results." A thoughtful approach can open the door to better conversations and stronger relationships. True growth begins when we set aside our pride and embrace feedback as a tool for transformation. It's not about being perfect, it's about being willing to learn. The Stoics understood that mastery comes from humility, the courage to accept our flaws and the determination to refine them. By replacing defensiveness with openness, you not only grow as a person, but also foster deeper trust and respect with those around you. In the end, the strength to listen is what sets you apart. 8. Acting like a victim. Blaming others or circumstances for your struggles might seem like an easy escape, but it's a dangerous trap. Playing the victim tells the world that you've surrendered control over your life. It's as if you're constantly searching for reasons to justify your failures instead of owning your role in the outcome. While this mindset may feel comforting at the moment, it keeps you stuck, preventing growth and pushing people away. When you focus on blaming external factors, you overlook opportunities to solve problems. The energy you expend lamenting your circumstances could be directed toward finding solutions. Those around you see this pattern too. Instead of respecting your struggles, they begin to view you as someone unwilling to take responsibility. Over time, this erodes trust and makes collaboration or meaningful connections difficult. Stoicism offers a profound counter to this mindset. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The Stoics teach us that while we can't control everything that happens, we can always choose how to respond. By shifting focus from external blame to internal action, we reclaim our agency and demonstrate resilience. I once knew someone who seemed perpetually trapped in a cycle of victimhood. Every conversation with them revolved around injustices they believed they faced: difficult bosses, unfair colleagues, unkind friends. But no matter how much sympathy they received, nothing ever changed. When offered advice or solutions, they dismissed it, preferring to dwell on their grievances. Gradually, people stopped engaging with them. It wasn't their hardships that pushed others away, but their refusal to take even small steps toward improvement. The constant seeking of pity made collaboration and friendship feel exhausting. If you've ever felt yourself slipping into this mindset, there's a way out. Start by asking yourself one crucial question: what can I do to improve this situation? This shifts the focus from what's beyond your control to what's within it. Take a small step, any step, toward resolving the issue. Even a minor action can reignite your sense of empowerment. When listening to someone who appears trapped in victimhood, approach with empathy but maintain boundaries. Offer practical advice without indulging in endless complaints. For example, if a colleague complains about their workload, suggest strategies for prioritizing tasks or managing time better. By encouraging action, you help them break free from the cycle without getting pulled into it yourself. The Stoics believe that accountability is the cornerstone of inner peace. By accepting responsibility for your life, you not only grow stronger, but also inspire respect in others. This doesn't mean ignoring challenges or pretending everything is fine. It means choosing action over apathy and progress over pity. Life is full of challenges, but you decide whether they define you. By stepping out of the victim role, you take control of your narrative. This is where true strength lies, not in avoiding hardship, but in facing it with courage, determination, and a commitment to grow. The respect you gain from others and yourself is a reflection of that effort. As we come to the end of this journey, let's take a moment to reflect on the lessons we've uncovered. Each habit we've explored, whether it's gossiping, shifting blame, interrupting, or playing the victim, represents an opportunity for growth. These habits may seem small, but they silently erode the respect we earn from others and diminish the trust we build in our relationships. By addressing them, you're not only transforming how others see you, but also shaping the person you strive to become. Stoic philosophy reminds us that change begins within. It teaches us to focus on what we can control: our actions, our mindset, and the way we treat others. The road to self-improvement isn't about perfection, but about consistent effort. Every small step you take, pausing before you speak, taking responsibility for a mistake, or showing up on time, is a step toward becoming someone others admire and trust. Remember, this journey doesn't happen overnight. Like any skill, cultivating respect through better habits requires practice. Start today. Choose one habit to work on and commit to improving it. Observe how it transforms your interactions and builds your confidence. Growth, after all, is a process of daily refinement. I encourage you to share your experiences in the comments below. What habits have you struggled with, and how have you worked to overcome them? Your stories could inspire someone else on their journey to becoming better. Together, we can create a community where we learn from one another and grow stronger every day. As you move forward, carry this truth with you. Respect is not given freely. It's earned through integrity, mindfulness, and action. Practice these lessons, and you'll not only gain the respect of others, but also the most important respect of all, your own.